Yeah. So we are live now.
Excellent. It's 11 o'clock in the UK. It's 12 o'clock in Europe. Oh, it's Radio Steve.
So we are live now.
Excellent. I can hear myself coming back. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Hey, Zirian, should we get going?
Yeah, let's just wait for participants to join. They should be here any minute. At least I hope so.
Hey, but isn't this just like a sprint? It starts when it starts. It's like a train on time.
Yeah, it does, but at the same time, we can adjust
You can be
because
agile.
yeah, eventually we'll look at what brings the most value, right?
Yeah.
So does the time box adhering to the time box, is that the most important thing, or looking at, okay, well, what should we do to adjust in order to achieve value
Yeah,
for our
that's
lovely
true.
guests, like Sena, for example, or Iron.
Hi,
Cheers to you.
morning.
Good morning. When someone says good morning, that means it's not in the Netherlands, maybe in the UK,
Yeah, it's
or
in the Netherlands.
as
I'm
in
a
the
bit
Netherlands. In that case, Aaron, good afternoon.
good afternoon.
Or as Steve says it is in his perfect Dutch, goedemiddag.
Yeah,
And you said it so nicely. I'm not going to repeat that again. So,
Yes. But you have a lot of words in your repertoire anyway, so that's
yeah, none of them I actually understand apart from Amsterdam Centraal. So,
no, that will be good.
yeah.
We just wait a few 1 or 2 minutes till more people join, and then we can start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron, where are you located, Aaron?
I'm in the name right now.
Okay, nice. Yeah, Steve, that's near Scheveningen. Remember the word you wanted to practice, Scheveningen?
Yes, and I haven't so practiced. So it's my English mouth just can't get around some of those Dutch words.
It's okay. It's
It's,
okay.
it's almost like a muscle that you have to try and expand and get used to. But yes,
Mhm.
although I'll share not on here. I'll share an interesting uh, post about why English people or British people are so poor in learning foreign languages or different languages. They're
Mm.
very good at hearing English dialects, but yeah, it's very poor in learning other languages, and there is a reason for it. So, and I'll share it with you later.
Okay. Nice, nice. Hey, Steve, shall we start?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think we should. It's 3 minutes past. Let's go.
And people will join. And while you do the introduction, I will add the people once they join.
So, thank you for joining. So, this is again one of our Scrum 101, going back to basics of what it means to use Scrum, to be a Scrum practitioner. And today we're going to be talking about what it means for developers. We've already spoken about product ownership or product owners, and we've also spoken about Scrum masters and develop. Hey, I'm speaking as an ex-developer. So my background is that I started off in software development. So it was often a case of me actually building the things. And Ziriam, what's your background? Have you ever been a developer before?
Yes, I have. I have a business information technology background and change management.
Okay.
So basically what it means is I do speak the language. I know what to do, uh, but I suck at it and I am better in challenging and talking to developers than actually developing.
Yeah, there's a
Uh,
common theme there. I became a Scrum Master and a coach because, and I'm going to be really honest here, I wasn't the best developer in
yeah.
the world, and those people that worked with me, they'll vouch for that.
And th
So,
this is already an interesting thing, Steve, because when we talk about developer, automatically we jump into software developer.
Mm.
Everyone hold that thought when we talk about developer.
Yeah. Zirian, what's that behind you showing?
Yeah, that's the mural page. And we will share the mural page later on, because then there's a little interactive part as well. We'll share it with you once it's convenient. But just like every webinar, we want to bore you out with some informatics about us, and especially where you can find us. And the most awesome thing that is here is the original conference in Amersfoort in the Netherlands, 7th of November. Feel free to reach out. There are a lot of things that we can do, and it has been fun. It's a third edition already, right?
Yeah, it's always a good good use of your time, and the talks are unbelievable. And the best thing about it is the fact they're all original, never been shown before. It gives it that unique factor.
Yeah, and only 100 people in the conference, so it's
Yeah.
small. It's you can really connect.
Hmm.
If you want to get in touch with any of us, with me or with Steve, feel free to do so on LinkedIn, on Slack, or on whatever. Just get in touch with us. All right, Steve, do you want to take us to the official formal?
So look, I mean, there is the definition or within the Scrum Guide, and if you are a Scrum practitioner, I would hope you've read the Scrum Guide at least once. So maybe read it a few times, because what it does talk about in there is the developers as being accountability. This is what developers are accountable for. Think of it as a role. The language used to be that it was a role, but then there's often a conversation around, well, we don't have X. So Scrum Guide changed it to be accountable. And it says, look, there are the accountabilities, and the developers are the people in Scrum teams that are committed in creating any aspect of a valuable increment. So they're the people that actually create the value that is given to customers, stakeholders, those kinds of things. And they have the specific skills needed by the developers are often broad and will vary within the domain of work. So it doesn't mean that developers have all the same skills. It means that within that group of people, in the group of developers, they have all the skills necessary. It could be that, in fact, actually, I just saw this on the Olympics. The US gymnastic team had a dedicated, and I'm going to get the wrong aspect of it here. I think they were the pommel horse person. It's the only thing he did. And the US team said that they're going to bring this person in specifically to win the gold medal in the team event. Whereas in previous times they've had people that could do loads of things differently. This person could just do the pommel vault, and they brought him in just to do this job. Didn't mean that everybody could do the pommel vault, but the collective responsibility, that accountability of winning the gold, they had this one specialist in there. So anyway, coming back to Scrum, the developers are always accountable for creating the plan, and that's in the sprint backlog. That's their plan. They're the people doing the work, and they should know and come up with the plan. You know, it's talking and leaning into that area of self-managing. I've often been in a situation where I've been told what to do, and I've known that actually that isn't the best way, but I haven't felt comfortable enough to share, actually, we could do something differently. Scrum reinforces this message that the people doing the work should plan the work, understand what's needed, but to deliver value. They are also the ones that need to understand the definition of done, what it means to adhere to this quality level. So when doing the work that they've brought in the plan, they need to keep the definition of done in mind. They need to have that, because we should only be bringing stuff into the sprint that we believe we can get to done during the sprint. So we need to know what done means. And the done is this quality level, keeping it to the same level. So irrespective if it's Zirian or myself or the US pole vaulter, pommel horse person, not pole vaulter, they understand what the quality is. So, but based on understanding the work, they should have the necessary skills and understanding to adapt their plan each day. moving towards that sprint goal, because it is the sprint goal that is committed to, not the backlog. Often there's a mistake made by organizations saying that you brought this into the sprint, you need to do this. Maybe we don't. Maybe our plans have changed because we've learned more about things as we're doing the work. The goal is the constant throughout the sprint. Zurian, it looked like you wanted to say something there.
Yeah, I wanted to add, like, it also ties into holding each other accountable as professionals. And also, if you look at, because that also means the sprint goal is the most important thing. So you should have the freedom to self-manage and decide, okay, we're going to add more stuff to it, right? So the sprint planning is a moment to really inspect and adapt and create a plan. But eventually, within the daily Scrum, it's like on daily basis, you re-strategize on achieving the goal, right? And re-strategize means we can add new stuff. We can remove stuff because, hey, the world is changing, right? So we thought something was needed, but now it's not needed. But ultimately, it's about reaching the goal.
And this is the conversation. Sorry, Zurian. This is the conversation because you really got me going there. But thinking about that we should be having in the daily Scrum. It's not a reporting. The daily Scrum is an event for the developers, run by the developers. Scrum masters, agile coaches, call them whatever you want, are there to help the developers make an effective meeting. But it is a meeting for the developers to talk about how they're going to move towards the goal. So it's not a reporting thing. So this is where that adaptation around the plan, moving forward, taking things out, talking to people and saying, hey, if you do X, we can do Y. As they learn more things, that plan is going to change. Think of it as sat nav. I'm trying to go to Amsterdam, somewhere, and I start off from Leeds, and it's going to say, well, you've got to go down the M1, and then you've got to get on the train, but actually there's a problem. It's adapting all the time. So, and it'll give me a time, a probabilistic forecast of when I may get to Amsterdam based on our current projection. But hey, that's going to change. And so we need to change with that as well. So this is why this is a conversation around a plan, willing to change as well. So,
and that's also one of the reasons why usually I say the developers are most important part of delivering value. Because eventually, if they are not the strategic people on how to do stuff, and who is, right? It's a collective mind of delivering value. And when we continue, in the beginning, we already had a conversation where we were talking about developer. It was typically people think about software developers.
Yeah.
Because it's the most common, maybe, I don't know. But if we, and this is a mindset change, right? Because if we're talking about developers, we are talking about anyone who contributes to creating stuff, right? So imagine if you are in a marketing domain, right? You don't have any software background. Doesn't mean you're not a developer. If so, then who are you, right? So basically, when we're talking about developers, we are talking about anyone who contributes to creating and delivering value.
Yeah. I mean, Scrum came from software, so it will have hangups or will have references that are commonly used in software development. However, I have worked with quite a few industry or company teams I've worked with teams that are outside the software industry. And I've had the conversation, hey, you're saying developers, but I'm a structural engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer. Where do I fit in? Oh, well, in the eyes of Scrum, you're adding value to the product. Therefore, you're a developer. And a Scrum master, a product owner, can also be a developer at the same time. If they're working on a piece of work in the backlog, adding value to it, they're attending the daily as a developer. And in fact, by calling people developers, it brings that unity. Because, I mean, we've probably all seen, oh, I'm a developer, I don't do testing. We've come across that experience, or the testers just do testing. And I learned a valuable lesson a long time ago in which one of the people I was working with, I called them a tester, and they said, I'm not a tester. I'm a developer that specializes in testing, just as you, Steve, are a developer that specializes in back-end stuff, you know, in software. I'm a developer that specializes in testing. And I thought that is such a nice way of saying stuff.
And imagine, Steve, if we're in a football team, right?
Yeah.
You don't tell them I'm a defender. No, you just say, hey, I'm a football player. My specialty is defending.
Yeah.
But does that mean that I can't go in offense? Does that mean that I can't shoot on goal or go in front with the corners or whatever? So by saying we're all players, actually, maybe we should file a change for the Scrum Guide. Not calling it developers, but players, right? But overall, but overall, it's like, okay, so who is really contributing to reaching the goal, right? Creating the stuff. And I think that's the most important thing. Also, not to get stuck in, hey, I'm a senior developer, or I'm a like you said, Steve, I'm a tester, so I do testing only. No, we're in accountability, it also says we hold each other accountable as professionals for achieving our goals, right? That is what professional behavior means. It doesn't mean like, hey, I've done my part, I'm going to chill out. Yeah, and that's it. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. And we have a question from Gaurav, like, how can Scrum scale in a very big company? In startups, we can manage 3 to 5 teams, but how do we manage 15 to 20 teams in SAFe? Is SAFe the way forward? Want to scale Scrum? Yeah. Without going in details and going in in that rabbit hole, when you scale good stuff, right? So start small. If that works for you, try to scale, and that's not only in large corporates, but also in startups. When you grow too fast and you don't have the basics in place, then you will only scale bad stuff, right? So first focus on, okay, so how are our teams doing, and then can we do a good job? And then
there's a quote that Andy Hiles, another Scrum facilitator, uses, and it was somebody, I don't know the person's name that said it to him. He was on a scaling course as a participant, and it was like the light bulb moment came on and said, whatever you find painful at a low level will be excruciatingly painful when you scale it. So get it right at the level, and this links into that professional thing as well. You know, make sure that you've got the skills in the team. Make sure that you've got people aware that actually developers is just a catch-all phrase for people delivering value. Make sure that people are holding each other accountable. Make sure that and this is lining more into the Scrum Master thing, creating that environment, creating that fostering environment. But there is an onus on developers as well. It's not a passive thing. Developers, as a ex-developer, but an experienced developer, I knew what a good team felt like. So I would spend time trying to create that environment myself. That's not just down to the Scrum Master to do, but it's also on me because I have experienced what it means to work in a great team. And if we can take aspects outside of Scrum and IT, we can all, you know, look at great teams. What is it about it? You know, a Formula One team that makes Red Bull such a great team. What is it that makes, and I'm really going to be painful now, what is it that makes Real Madrid such a great team? Is it because they've got Galacticos? Is it because that they've got a good ethos? Have they got an understanding? Have they got commitment? You know, why is it that Leeds United are not as successful as Real Madrid? Is it a money thing? Is it probably, is it a cultural thing? What is it? But we have got a responsibility as a member of that team to do as much as we can. And I'll put into the chat a little bit later on a talk by Damien Hughes, Professor Damien Hughes, and he talks about commitment culture within the team. It really links into that development stuff. So I'll do that later. But I was kind of going off on a tangent because Zurian, you've got main focus of a developer behind you.
Yeah, because what's interesting, we are talking about developers and professional developer. So if you all of you can go to the mural and follow me, can you put a post-it on one of these areas where you think developers are spending most of their times, right? Is it working on their personal skills? Is it just doing the work because, you know, yeah, you have to build stuff? Is it helping others in the sprint? Or is it changing the organization? Where do you think it is the most? And if somehow you're not able to join, let's say, join the mural, feel free to unmute and speak out what you think, or put it in the chat here as well.
I'm just creating some stickies for you as well, if you so just make it easier for you. To the right of there, I put some yellow stickies in there, so if you want to grab some of those.
Or pink.
Or pink ones, yeah.
Yeah. So for you, Arnoud, where do you think most developers are spending their time?
Let me see. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You've heard me all the time. I think well, doing the work.
Yeah.
And of course, all those other parts play a big role as well. I mean, personal skills are very important, and the organizational change facilitation is very important.
Yeah.
I think the main focus should be on doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Me too. I think that is doing the work. It's like 80%, and then I will go for personal skills. For helping others in the sprint, I think it's not always, since generally we don't have time, so we either do the work or we try to develop our skills.
Mm-hmm.
Changing the organization, it depends. Depends on the leadership. Like if the leadership is listening to the developers, so the developers will like contribute, will suggest ideas, but if it's not the case, so they will just do the work.
Yeah. I love this explanation. Thank you, both Jamal and Arnoud. Because we want to jump into professional behavior, right, of a developer. And to us, there are two things that a Scrum developer really needs. It's like self-management, and self-management, that's to us like, okay, deciding how to do your job, but also in lines of professional behavior is taking ownership of changing the organization based on your accountabilities, based on your expertise, right? And unfortunately, too often we see that developers are focusing a lot on, okay, doing the work, which is kind of expected to do the work, but we don't want that to be the biggest chunk, because we believe that if you, as developers, if you have the right attitude and behavior, you take ownership, you help others in a sprint, achieving the goals, and also working on your own skills, improving your own skills, that's professional behavior, and helping the organizations change so that as developers, as a Scrum team, we can deliver more value, right? And if we're talking about the self-management in here, it also means like tie into the Scrum values, tied into showing courage, right? Doing stuff without asking for permission, because you are a professional and you know that this really needs to be done, right? Let me give another football example, right? So it's the last minute, Champions League final, and you're 1-0 behind, and you get a corner. What you usually see is that, hey, the developer, in this case, the goalkeeper, looks at the coach. Can I go? Can't I go? Well, they can already decide it's the best thing to do because it's the last minute. Can you imagine only communicating, asking for that permission, that it withholds and slows down the whole process, right? So having the courage to do stuff where you think, hey, I'm master within my craft, so I know what to do, and you can trust that I'm not harming the organization because I'm a professional, right? So I can make choices, but those are very important stuff for developers. So it's mainly about all those stuff than really doing the work, which is of course important, but it's not like, okay, just leave me and do my job, even if it's software developer, or if you're in marketing, or in recruitment, or whatever. It shouldn't be like, okay, just let me create the document, or just let me create this, or whatever. It's all combined, and that's what we also see, like the professional behavior, right?
And I've worked in teams, and I've had developers talk to me and say, "Tell me what to do. I'll turn up at 9, leave at 5. You tell me what to do." And I just felt so sorry for them that that's how they thought their role was. They were contractors, consultants into an organization. It's like, you just tell me what to do. And it's like, surely you should be passionate around the work that you're doing. I want to hear what you think. I'm a developer. I could be wrong, but I want to hear what you think that you should be doing. You bring your experience, and bring that to you. So it's creating that environment. Again, linking into the whole process of Scrum with Scrum Masters and product owners, creating that environment that developers feel safe in order to think and, be professional, do the right thing. What should I do? I'm going to go up, I'm a goalkeeper that specializes in saving balls, but hey, I'm in this for the team. And if I happen to cause enough disruption or get my head onto that ball when the corner comes in, I might just score a goal, and then we're into extra time.
Yeah. Or distract everyone so that others can score.
Yeah.
And Saina has an interesting question in the chat. It's, as a Scrum Master, I'm facing a challenge in one of our development teams, which is refinement events. They cannot define the tickets properly, which leads them to be, again, spending time defining tickets in a planning event.
Maybe it's better to explain a bit on that the challenge we are having is like, if the product owner is not there, they cannot understand, or let's say they cannot have the same understanding over the goal and what is needed to be done to reach that goal. And although there is a pitch always that would explain like in details what do we need to do to help them to understand, I see that other development teams, they don't have such problem. I cannot get out what is the problem with this development team, that every time in refinement meetings, I can see that they cannot define the tickets properly. And that in the planning, again, they are just focused on defining and it's just they're always running out of time. For more than 1 hour.
And this is thanks so much for the question, Saina. It's Steve and I also have a talk on how not giving enable self-management. Like in this case, also we're talking about professional behavior. Like, are the developers feeling the pain that they are doing extra work, or they are not being super effective? And I think that that's also one of the keys to determine, like, do they feel that they can do better? Do they feel that this is not hindering them? Because if that's the case, then we can support them in doing things more effectively, right?
Yeah, I think they were able to feel it during the last refinement and the planning, let's say, because it was like more than 2 hours of spending again defining the tickets. And without product owner, I can say that they were not able to do that. So I'm really having this struggle how to coach them to better performing.
I would ask the team, take it to them and say, how can we make this better? Well, maybe we could have the product owner available more often to us in refinement. And refinement can be the whole team, one person, a mixture of people in the team. It just says the backlog is refined, and product owners don't necessarily need to refine all the backlog. Developers do it themselves. It's but extend planning. It doesn't have to, for a month sprint, 8 hours, for shorter sprints, it's usually shorter. Extend planning. And also there's nothing stopping you going back in and refining things mid-sprint. We've got an idea about this. It feels about this. Do we feel we can get it? Yeah, as we understand it right now, yes, we feel we can. But throughout the sprint, hey, I've got a question, product owner. And I thought it was this, and I made this assumption, and I documented it in the item. Can you clarify? So, during the sprint, actually, what you're asking for isn't achievable. X is achievable. Are you willing to have that? Yes, we can. So you can still refine. It's still that refinement going through and those conversations going through. Andy Hiles and I say Scrum is a conversational framework. There should be loads of conversations. You know, it's because there's so many uncertainties. Keep having those conversations. So it's not a refinement is not just a once and done. It's a continual thing.
Mhm.
People doing the work, there's nothing wrong with them going back to go, hey, Zirian, as product owner, I know we said this,
Mhm.
but I think why now?
Yeah.
You know, kind of, where are you? And we have a conversation.
Yeah.
So
So
the thing is, it would be a good idea to have like maybe even two, to split it to two events for the refinement, not just one. Because in the first one, they can figure out, okay, what is the lack of knowledge they have.
Yeah.
So they would go for it. And then in the second one, they would like.
So I used to do refinement after every other daily scrum, just for half an hour.
Oh, really?
We'd run it through the sprint. And sometimes we'd say, do we need a refinement? Has anything changed? No, nothing's changed. We're happy. Or actually, yeah, because I've been talking to so-and-so in accounts, and this is what they've just told me. We need to change. And so we'd do it every other day. Andy, who I do a lot of work with, would do it every day.
Yeah.
And it was just that process. And it's not, you know, it's a recommended practice. It's not a mandatory event, but you get so much value out of it. So this is why it doesn't specify how much time you should spend in refinement. What it does say is that items should be brought into the sprint backlog that the team believe they can get to done. And as long as they believe they can get it to done, that's the thing. So if you're sprint planning, if you're running out of time and it's not going over those 8 hours, extend it. You know,
Yeah.
I often see monthly sprints, 1 hour planning. It's like, wow, okay, we're going to spend how much money? And we're saying this is how much time we need. We're already working in complex areas. Don't make it more complex and more difficult than it already is. You know, what happens if we just extend it for 2 hours? We don't have to use those full 2 hours, those full 3, 4, 5 hours. If we feel that we've got a backlog that's going to meet the goal, we come out of planning and we start working.
Yeah.
And as a stakeholder, that's what I'd want. Good value for money, return of investment.
Exactly. And Saina, also remember what we said in the beginning. It's like professional developers, they take ownership. And the daily scrum is, for example, you can every day it's a strategic event, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't mean usually when we're talking about refinement is we think about, okay, before the sprint starts, we put on the product backlog, we try to understand what it is. But refinement is actually the act of understanding what we need to do to deliver value. So professional behavior is continuously using the strategic stuff to achieve our sprint goal, right? So it doesn't mean that during the sprint we cannot reiterate and think about what is in the sprint and clarify and maybe get new insights and remove it or add new stuff or whatever, or collaborate with the customers during. So this is a professional behavior of developers taking the whole ownership of, hey, we committed to achieving the sprint goal. We will do everything that is in our power to achieve that sprint goal and
But
continue.
wouldn't that lead to a scope creep if continue to do this refinement during the sprint too? I know I see the value of it, but on the other hand,
Who cares about scope creep if your only objective is to achieve the sprint goal?
yeah,
Is
you're
scope
right.
creep still a thing?
Yes, you're
And
right.
can the scope creep, can we get that to done during the sprint? If we no, well, we don't do it. Yes, okay, we're not getting extra more time. So what's going to give? What's more important? Product owner, do you still want us to do this, this, and this? But because you're now asking for this, product owner's going, no, let's do that next sprint or the following. But we've had a conversation, we've captured it. And so it's that creating transparency and understanding around the complexity. So there's nothing wrong about finding things out, but we could go down into this, and this is a really great conversation. But before we finish, Sanye, I would just encourage you to take it to the team. Take the problem to the team.
Yeah. And the rest
Refinement is not, happening well enough. It's your process. How can you as a team make this better? I don't know. And that's where you step in as a coach.
Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will now remove you from spotlight. So everyone, thank you so much for listening to yet another Scrum 101 about developers. We love to see you next time. We love to receive your feedback. And if your feedback is, hey, can you stick within the half an hour?
It's a time box.
Yeah, we just love our work. So that's a good thing. But please fill in, give us feedback about what is going on and how we can still improve. And thank you all for joining. And the next 101 meetup is, I think, about sprint planning, right, Steve?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be in September.
Yeah,
So
we'd love to see all of you in the next time, and we will stop the live recording now as well.